Today, I stand here as the government bench, firmly support the motion in areas prone to disasters. This House believes that the state should prioritize disaster mitigation over relocation. Disaster mitigation refers to actions designed to reduce and minimize disaster risk and impacts before the disasters. These include early warning systems, stronger infrastructure, evacuation routes, and community preparedness. Relocation refers to moving people permanently from disaster-prone areas to safer places. I believe our duty is not simply moving people away from disasters or dangers. The state's responsibility is protecting citizens while preserving their rights, economy, and social stability. As we know, under the Indonesian Constitution, the second principle of Pancasila, just civilized humanity, this requires protecting people with dignity, not treating them as objects that can simply be moved. My stance is simple. The government should solve the risk, not remove the people. And now, I will explain my first argument. Mitigation protects people without destroying their social and economic lives. Relocation sounds simple in theory. Move people away from dangerous areas and they become safer. But human life is not just about a house. People are connected to jobs, social networks, resources and of income. And when the government relocates some community, they are not moving buildings. They are moving the entire economics and ecosystems of humans' life. Many communities in disaster-prone areas survive because of their life depends on their locations. For example, fishermen live near coasts because their income depends on the sea. Or farmers live near volcanic areas because volcanic soil is highly productive. And if the relocated is far away, people lose economic opportunities. When people lose income, new social problems will emerge. And unemployment, crime, psychological stress. This scale becomes massive because one relocation affects not only one person, but the entire generations. Mitigation solves the risk while preserving stability. Instead of forcing people to abandon their lives, the government can build flood barriers, create evacuation routes, provide early warning technology, and strengthen housing structures. With this solution, I believe that citizens become safer without losing their economic foundations. For the example, after the 2004 tsunami that happened in Aceh, some relocated communities experienced difficulties adapting because economic activities and social environments changed significantly. Meanwhile, in places like Japan, mitigation systems such as earthquake-resistant buildings, tsunami and earthquake warning systems, and evacuation drills. With this solution, Japan have allowed millions of people to continue living productively despite the previous disaster. Japan experienced thousands of earthquakes, and they do not solve everything by moving the entire populations. They reduce the danger itself. So I believe if relocation creates new instability, while mitigation prefers both safety, livelihoods, and mitigation provides larger competitive benefits. The state should protect lives without destroying communities. And now I will move to my second argument. Mitigation is more sustainable and realistic for a large population. As we know, Indonesia is one of the world's most disaster-prone countries. This could happen because it sits on the Pacific that calls Ring of Fire, where three major tectonic plates collide, creating earthquakes and volcanoes. If the state's response is relocation, where do we stop? Where would we move coastal and mountain community, earthquake zones, and flood-prone urban areas? The answer is no. Almost every region has some level of risk. Relocation on a national scale creates so many negative things. The first one is land problems. Where can we find sufficient new areas that would not increasing the budget? Second problem is about budget. These will cost a lot of budget for building new houses, new infrastructure, and many more. The third problem is about social problems. For examples are like conflict with host communities and adoption issues. Mitigation creates long-term infrastructure that continues helping future generations. I believe that one flood barrier built today can protect millions of people for years, and one disaster education program can save lives repeatedly. Now, let's think about big cities flooding. If the government relocated every resident from flood-prone areas, millions of people would need to move. Transportation system would change entirely, and business would collapse. Instead, mitigation policies include river normalization, retention ponds, drain improvement, and green spaces. The goal is reducing risk while maintaining social functioning. So, mitigation addresses root problems, while relocation only changes locations. Risk exists everywhere. Running away from risk is not sustainable governance, but managing risk is. My last argument is I think that the state has a moral and constitutional responsibility to empower people, not by removing them. The opposition assumes people are passive victims that are waiting for the governments to rescue them, and I strongly reject this framing. Citizens are an active participations and not an objects. Disaster mitigation empowers people through disaster education training, and preparedness systems. Communities become stronger and more independent. And this aligns with Pancasila Principle number 4, democracy guided by wisdom and deliberation. The state works together with society instead of imposing decisions unilaterally. Forced relocation often ignores local forces. Communities frequently resist relocation because lands hold cultural value. Social bonds exist there, and economic system exists there. Ignoring this creates distrust toward government institution. I believe that the government duty is not controlling people. Its duty is empowering and protecting them. Mitigation fulfills this responsibility more effectively. And what will I do to implement several policies are strengthening disaster-resistant infrastructure, earthquake-resistant building, stronger bridges and flood barriers. Number 2, improve early warning systems like tsunamis alarms, weather monitoring systems, and mobile emergencies alert. And I will also provide more education programs starting from elementary school because preparedness saves lives. And last but not least, environmental protection like reforestation, mangrove restoration, and preventing illegal logging. Disasters are unavoidable, but vulnerability is preventable. The question is not, can we move the people? But the real question is, can we protect people without destroying their lives? Through Pancasila, through logic, and through real experience in society, we prove that disaster mitigation protects not only lives, but also livelihoods, dignity, stability, and justice. Because governments should not remove citizens from problems. Governments should solve the problems themselves. And for this reason, I strongly agree that this House should strongly support the motion. And I believe that government duty is not controlling people. Its duty is empowering and protecting them. Mitigation fulfills their responsibility more effectively. And I will prove to them that citizens